Welcome. I am so excited to be here today with Allie to talk to you about her journey from classroom to edtech. My name is Cindy Lish, and I work with transitioning teachers, career changers, and women returning to the workforce to find those amazing jobs. Hey, Allie, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
I am so excited to have you here today. You have to tell everybody right away, where are you working? People are going to love it.
I'm working at CommonLit.
And what do you do at CommonLit?
So I'm doing curriculum writing. I got hired as a curriculum writer, and I started about a month ago, month and some change, and I'm loving it.
So, what is great about your new life?
The remote aspect, I was actually nervous about. That was one of my reservations. I know that some people are like, "Oh, that'd be amazing." I was worried about that coming in, and I kind of shared that with them. And there's been so many opportunities to connect with people in the company outside of work if that during the workday. They schedule coffee chats and a virtual book club, and there's ways to be connected, and I think that's like incredible. I also love that I have a ton of autonomy. um, i
Yes.
can I'm given one job to do, and I actually get the time to do it well, which is huge. As a teacher, we're used to doing five jobs, at the price of one. And so it did take an adjustment for me to realize, like, no, they actually want me to do this one thing, and they're giving me the time to do it well.
So how is life better?
Life is better because there is so much more time for me to just focus on me. I'm not stressed. I'm not always tired. At the end of my day, I get to walk 3 feet and then go outside and do a workout. I get stuff done during the day in between meetings and breaks. There's just so much more time in the day.
What do you love about the company?
What I love most is that it's a mission driven company. It's not for profit. And one of my big things about leaving teaching was that I knew I needed to be able to do something where I was still making a difference. And I didn't think I could ever find that. And I did. Right. And it was a challenge. I'm not one of those, I left teaching, I found the perfect job in 6 weeks and transitioned teachers. I'm not. It took me, I mean, well over a year, I think. Cindy and I, even before I decided to work with Cindy, I followed her. Cindy, I think I even maybe had reached out to you about a call, and then I didn't show. I think I remember that. And it was because I was so lost. And so when I eventually decided, I was like, I'm going to get focused. And I started working with Cindy. And I was always okay with just where it was going to lead me. I had found a position in which I was pretty content. It was a kind of a unicorn teaching position, and she really guided me through parts of the job process that I didn't even know I needed. And one of those was confidence. I did not know how to sell myself. Even though I'd read blogs and things online, I didn't know how to articulate that and have confidence. And so she taught me a lot about that growth. And so I ended up kind of keeping my role and taking on some contract work with edtechs. And that kind of gave me the ability to take what Cindy had taught me and put it into play. I showed up to the contracting roles looking professional when the others were wearing t-shirts, little things like that. And I was able to just own the room, which I've never done before. And so then that was over the summer, and then into the following school year, I had my same role, but I dove in with like this new energy. I was like, I, took over the scheduling, and I took over, I basically started running the department, and I did the master schedule, and I created a new set of like spreadsheets that for tracking information, and that I used in the whole district, all these little things that I never thought to like keep track of. And then in the middle of my school year, when I was not looking for jobs. I really wasn't, but I happened to open the app, that had job postings, and I saw my company, and I was like, oh wow, that's the unicorn job. And so I applied, using all of the strategies that Cindy taught me. In fact, it was a job that I believe we applied for together, like 6 months before, that I never heard from. And so
They put it on hold, remember that they had put
yes.
that job on hold and then
Mhm.
you couldn't have that job and then it came out again.
6 months later, I think maybe more than that. So I had my old, the cover letters and things that I'd already used to apply. But then before I was like, well, I'll just submit again. But before I did, of course, I was like, well, I better check it. I better see if I can change it. And I did. And I added a bit more about my role. And lo and behold, I got the interview. Couldn't believe it. Um, and then there was 3 rounds. There was 2,500 applicants. That part to me is still mind blowing because Cindy, I would tell Cindy, I'm like, I'd see on LinkedIn like how many people apply. Not all of that's true, but I was like, there's no way I'm not, unique enough. But it worked. I got seen. And once I got in the interviews, I was able to really show why this is a big deal for me and why I really am the best person for this. And yeah, there was 2 interviews and then a performance task, and then a job offer.
It's fantastic, right? And it's really great because you found your way in so many different levels.
Mhm.
Right? Like when we stopped working, you hadn't found the job yet, but you up-leveled yourself at the job, right? So what was your position? You were not a classroom teacher, so you weren't facing that. What was your position that you went back to?
Right. So I did do classroom teaching full on for 12 years as an ELA teacher. And then this position was actually it was a special education case managing position. So yes, I was going into other teachers' classrooms and helping students, but I was also on the back end doing all the paperwork for the meetings, documentation, that kind of thing. And it was a really great role because it did give me that opportunity to be with kids, interact with them, make a difference, but it also gave me an opportunity for leadership experience, which I feel like I really needed that.
Right? And I love how you took everything we did together and then owned all those additional leadership things in the school because you went into it with a different mindset.
Yes.
Instead of the mindset of, "Oh, there's more work I have to do, there's more work I have to do," you went into it with, "What can I learn and grow and gain from this?"
Yes. That was
And
a
I
huge
believe that
one.
you also got some stipends for those things as well.
I did. Yes. There was some stipends that I applied for. I actually also took on working doing the website, the school's website, which I got a small stipend for, but it was also, I learned another program for that I could put on my resume, and it would also put me as like one of the reviewers for social media. So I also was able to use that on my resume. And I never went to it. I also didn't go into it necessarily with like, what can I add to my resume? I went into it with like, what am I interested in? Because I know me and I know that I was bored and I needed to challenge myself. So that's really more of where the focus was. And I think organically, it it prepared me more to be ready to transition.
I am so in awe of how you did all that because you owned it all to make it your own, to take the things that you were interested in, to also earn more money. And also, you took that lifelong learner to the level, to
Yes.
the next level. You actually did it. And you went out and you learned things that were marketable to lo and behold get you into the position that you really wanted.
This is true. Very, very true. And, even I will say, Cindy and I weren't working together anymore when I had the interviews, but you can bet that the first thing I did before my interviews is I pulled up her videos and I wrote things down and I watched them and I practiced, which is something I would never have known how to do or probably would just not thought to do for because for teaching interviews we don't practice. We know they're the same every time. We know the buzzwords, we know what to say. It's, they usually that's not as intimidating and so I used that. So even though I hadn't been working with you, Cindy, for a long time at that point, I was like, no, I'm still, I took all of the notes that I made notes when we had done our videos and practice interviews from 6 months ago. And I used all of that before my interviews. And I do truly believe it helped. Not only that it helped remind me of tactics, but also um, it gave me that I went into those interviews and I was totally calm. There was no anxiety, there was no stress. It just felt like a conversation. And I was so excited for that.
Yeah, it's great when it feels that way, right? When you're so confident in yourself that you're like, okay, I can do this, I can handle this, I'm not really worried. And we did have a conversation, right? We did meet, we talked about salaries, we had to
Yes,
talk about salaries together and different methods for salary negotiation. So yeah, we did meet up again for that.
we
So
did it.
it is great to see you just thriving, right? So happy, so relaxed.
Something else that's amazing about my job that I forgot to mention is they actually, since we're a nonprofit, they encourage volunteering. And so we actually are given a certain amount of volunteer hours per year that we're allowed to use. And so I've actually been able to arrange, I'm going to get to go to my old school and help. once a week or so with they're coming into their testing season, and so I'm going to be able to help my former students kind of prepare for the STAR test as a volunteer. I'm really excited about it.
Oh my goodness, isn't that the best of all worlds, right? You get to
Mhm.
go back to the students that you love, but you don't have to do all the paperwork and
Right.
the prep work for that and the
I don't
grading and
have to deal with the
everything.
adults.
You get to do that as a volunteer, and you still have your day job, and your day job is encouraging you and giving you the hours for that. It sounds like you really, really found your happy spot.
I think I did, yeah. It just when it was time, it worked, and I think that that's if I had to give advice to anyone, especially myself 2 or 3 years ago, timing really is everything. It really is. And sometimes, like, it's like, I just need to get a job. I just need to get a job. And then, I took a step back and realized, would you be happy with just any job? And that's where I really started thinking about, like, what would make you happy? And I came to, like, I do have to make a difference. So that narrowed my search, that narrowed my goals. And every single thing that I have done in the last 2 to 3 years, I had to do before I was ready. And I didn't know that at the time. But timing, it's everything. It really is. If I had gotten the job if they hadn't have put it on hold and I got it in March, I wouldn't have been ready for it.
I love that perspective on that, a lot of teachers are running, just
Mhm.
running away. You you learn to go towards something.
Mhm.
Instead of just running from something, you
Right.
were going towards something to make you happy,
Right.
right? To leave you satisfied and fulfilled, and you were able to use in that interim time between then and, between getting this job and the other, working for other ed tech companies
Mhm.
to level yourself up, to stand out amongst other people. I know that in one of the ed tech companies, when you were talking about getting dressed professionally, you had mentioned that they were flying you out to do presentations when there were teachers that lived closer, lived in that region, but
Sure.
they weren't choosing them, they were choosing you because of how you were showing up. The
It's true.
blazers, the things that you started doing once we started working together, that helped you to stand out from everybody else.
It's true. And if you think about the video that you do on talking about your brand, that really rang true to me. I'm a teacher. I've always been. I'm not a big dresser upper or all of those things. And I thought about it. I was like, that was hard for me at first. But I also realized, yeah, it made people more. I had the confidence. Like, just giving myself that made me so much more open to interacting and talking to people, meeting people. I've met with that traveling that I did. I met like the commissioner of education for the state of Texas. Like, I had a lot of connections that I made. And again, it comes to that brand piece, because even if they're not approaching you, you have the confidence to go approach them.
Right, you feel that you belong at the table.
Exactly.
Right, and that module about your brand, that's an hour module in the course that we have when we're working together, but yeah, making yourself feel, and a lot of people find that to be very, very valuable. I had
Yes.
one teacher, a physical education teacher, gym teacher said, all of a sudden I watched that and I'm like, wow, I'm used to wearing sweats and my hair in ponytails, and how do I want to show up? Right? What do I want to do? And that person is now a director at a nonprofit. Right?
Oh,
Like a whole changing of a brand of how they're showing up.
yes. And it's huge. It really is.
Well, I am so happy for you. I love seeing you glowing here at this new position. Any final words of advice or anything else about what you got out of us working together?
Oh gosh. There's so much that I don't even think I can express everything that I have gained from working with Cindy. I think the biggest is to look at it as an investment for your entire future. Everything that I've learned from her in the 12 weeks and beyond, going to use forever and in many different ways. You'd be surprised at the knowledge that you can take, and not just to help you get a job, but in beyond that, to help you become a better person, better worker, a better you for your family. All of those things are what I gained working with Cindy. Just do it.
I think that's a great place to end it. Thank you so much. And I wish you continued success. You deserve it.
Thank you.